Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. This is No Soundbites Allowed, and I'm your host, Michael Voss, the political dragon here in the Bronx, New York. And today is October 31st, but you'll be seeing this in November. Now, the reason for that is I have a special guest, and they have a very busy schedule, but we are happy and lucky to get them in today to speak with us. And I think it's going to be a great show. You've met this man before. In fact, most recently, you probably heard about him from Savvy Sabs or Kim Iversen. He's been on with Adam Moreno, Hardlands Media. Or maybe you heard about him first from Glenn Beck, Joe Rogan, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin. Yeah, he's been everywhere. And who better to have on this program to talk with us about the future of New York and, well, just life in general is my very good friend, and I'm happy to introduce Larry Sharpe. How are you, Larry?
My brother Michael, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, and I'm happy to have you here on the program. As I'm mentioning in the intro, you're crazy busy right now. It's been quite the last 30 days for you, and that's because, well, I'll let you describe it yourself.
We announced that we're running for governor, governor of New York, the third time. Yes, I am insane. We actually, this is our third time doing it, and it's going to be our best chance to make it happen, and people know it. Some people say, well, wait a minute, Larry, why would you do a third time? There are several reasons. One of them is I've learned a lot. I've learned how to make this better, how this actually works, what we should be doing, and this is the best time for New York State for two reasons. One, you see New York State wants change. I mean, Mamdani in New York City is a symptom of New York City people desperately wanting change. Well, here I am. Not just that. Look, New York State has made it to where independent parties are just basically destroyed. They are gone. They're devastated. Someone's got to bring them back. We're not going to be able to change this state unless we're going to be able to create some single issue coalitions. And you know that right now, if you're a Democrat and you want to change something and Republicans agree, you can't go to them because Republicans are evil. You can't do that. If you're a Republican and you want to go to a Democrat, you can't because, oh my God, I'll get primaried. So you can't have that conversation. But if there is a third party, if there is someone running independently, that person can be the center that others can get around, right? But it's a second piece of that. If we have actual third parties, we can move the major parties. If you're in New York State and you wish you had better Democrats or you wish you had better Republicans, if you have a third party to change, and here is my perfect example, RFK Jr. Donald Trump didn't have any policies on food or medicine. That wasn't part of his thing. He was doing his own thing, right? Tons of other issues to deal with. Him or his team or both, I don't know who did it, but either he gets credit, whether it was him or his team, saw that RFK Jr. had millions of votes sitting in his pocket. 3 million, 2 million, 4 million, whatever, millions of votes. And they were like, you know what? We could use those votes. That could get us our mandate. That could get us not just win the election, but that could get us beating Harris in the popular vote and get the mandate that we need. So you know what? Maha it is. And all of a sudden now, Trump's got food and Trump's got nutrition. And you might say to yourself, but Larry, I don't want that stuff. I don't care about that stuff. Maybe you don't. But then you should find your guy or gal that has the issues that you care about, have them run independent, and that can move the major parties to do what you want them to do. That can't happen if we don't have independent parties.
Okay. And by the way, let me take a step back before I go any further. And people may notice that I was laughing when you mentioned Republicans are evil. A lot of people may not know, and you've been on my program 5 or 6 times. We've known each other for just under 10 years now.
Yep.
You're a personal friend like myself. You're a Marine. We both live in New York City right now, and we see each other on a regular basis.
Yep.
And we go at each other. When we agree wonderfully.
Sure.
When we disagree, it's a 3-hour conversation, and yet we're still friends.
Yes.
So people, I don't want anyone to see that I was laughing at that statement and think, oh my God, anything about that. This is how we speak. This is us.
Yeah. And to be forward, I don't think Republicans are evil, but you know that many Democrats do.
Yes, very much. I know that.
Yes.
But you're nowhere in that. That's why I thought it was so funny, because that's the media line. That's the
Yes.
message we get, especially
True.
in New York State or in California, Illinois. The blue
New
is
York
the state.
City.
Huh?
New
Yeah.
York City.
Oh, yeah. Wherever it's blue, where it's deep blue, that's the message that gets out there. It's not realistic. And I have to say, in the many years that I've known you now, and we've talked many times, various places across New York and otherwise, the number of people that surround you who are anything but libertarian. You've got Republicans that have conversation with you, Democrats. I've been present when we're out and about at various political events, and individuals from every political party speak with you on a regular basis. So it's just funny that we've become so politicized, but yet individually, some of us are very cross the board.
Absolutely. Generally speaking, I think, Mike, I think most Americans want a similar outcome. Not all. Some want really bad outcomes. But if you ask the average American wants a similar outcome to the other American next to him or her. Most of the time, that's true. The question becomes, do we get fooled by elites who actually don't want the same outcomes as us? That's option one. And option two, do we believe the narrative that, no, the other guy is evil, so whatever he or she is saying is obviously a lie because they're evil? Or worse, three, which I think is the most common, we just disagree on how to get there, even though we want to be in the same spot. I think all three of those are true.
Well, that brings up a great question. And even though I know you as a personal friend, and I have known about your run for governor because I am your friend, you let me know ahead of time. And I do support you, even though I am a conservative Republican. I do publicly announce that I support you completely. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be nice to you in the interview. Not that I'm a mean person, but I'm
sometimes
not going to give you
you're
any
mean.
favors.
You can be mean. You can be mean.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yes.
But looking at New York,
Yep.
And it's very much a reflection of the entire country. The top issues that everyone's looking at, they're looking at their lifestyle, their living comfort, which may include housing for some people. They're looking at crime in their communities, which very often also may have some aspect of illegal aliens in it. They're looking at,
particularly in poorer neighborhoods,
especially in poorer neighborhoods.
Yep.
And they're looking at their future, their livelihood going forward, whether it be wealth or whether it be raising their kids or just their retirement. These are especially critical issues in New York State. So I know it's a big, broad issue, but let me ask you, how are you looking, if you get to be governor this time, how can you address those issues when we've seen, well, only Democrats for the last 23 years have failed at that? So what is your approach?
Yeah, one of the most important things is looking for how do we wean New Yorkers off of taxation. Now, that may seem odd, but that's the key. Now, right away, most people go, wait a minute, like, that means you're going to start cutting stuff, and now we're all going to starve to death. And that's what I hear. And the reality is, no, I don't want people to starve. I want us to find other ways of raising money, other ways of paying for things that we need. And also something else, I want our communities to be able to step up again to support people. People do fall down. It happens. People make mistakes. People get unlucky. That happens all the time. My issue is what we do is go, oh, let's have a government program for it. And then we create a industrial complex around it. As you saw in New York, we created a migrant industrial complex. We created a homeless industrial complex. Well, we've created a poverty industrial complex. That's why we can't. That's why now the government shut down and, oh my God, we're all going to starve to death. Why? We made a welfare industrial complex, right? We make these industrial complexes that are never meant to go away. Now, I think the people who initially supported it, now who started it, people who started it knew it was a scam. But the people who supported it thought, oh, this is going to be helpful. This is a good thing. We care about people. And I thought the people who supported it probably thought it was a good idea. They can't imagine that it's not. They can't imagine this is not how it should work. They can't imagine it. And they're like, we have to just do this. Democrats are saying it right now with the shutdown. Oh, we have to keep the Obama subsidies going. Not accepting that Obamacare has failed. They can't imagine it. It's just, well, this is how it's supposed to be. New York State has a similar issue. So we have to start focusing on that. The one thing I bring up constantly is the idea of finding alternatives to taxation. One of them is the New York State Social Trust. This is basically like a sovereign fund for New York State. What does that mean? We create an actual fund, which is separate from the government. Let me say that again. Separate from the government. It has its own CEO, its own board. If it is part of the government will just take it and wreck it. Just like the lottery. Remember the lottery was supposed to be for, they just take it and wreck it.
Supposed to be for education. Never used a dime of it for education.
Never used a dime for it. Exactly right. Yes, just took it. Now, how do I know that? Because that's how Norway does it, and that's how Singapore does it. It's a separate company with a separate CEO and a charter. Why does that matter? When they're spending money, they will be efficient because they're private sector. So we know that will happen. Not just that, their goal was to raise money. So they will. How do I know that? Because all these sovereign funds raise money. All of them do. Every one of them. None of them fail. So this one will also succeed. Plus, we are New York City. This is the financial capital of our nation. If we can't do it, pack it in. It's done. Ball game's over. Pack it in. It's fine. Let's just, what are we going to give it to China? Who are we selling out to? Russia? Who are we selling out to? I don't know. Whoever the sellout we're selling out to, let's just sell out now because it's over, right? So that has to actually work. It can work. When that begins to work, we need several things. We can put whatever we want into it. If we want to put in some precious metals, if we want to put in some tax money to start off, if we want to sell and or lease state land, we can do that too. If we want to put cryptocurrency in it, that's fine too. Whatever we think is going to work, drawing people in, allowing the financial sector to do what it does best. Instead of investing in what they are now, real estate, taking up our farmland, taking up our housing, give them something else to actually invest in. They invest in this will go wild. Again, how do I know this? Because sovereign funds very often, for those of you who are in a financial world, know, very often in today's world, the sovereign funds are the biggest players. They are very often the biggest players. Not always, but very often. They're one of the biggest players. There's a big deal going on. A sovereign fund has something to do with it. They got to cut. They got to cut. They're 10%, 20%, whatever. They got to cut. They're in the biggest deals in the world right now. We should be part of that, making that money. The first thing that thing can do is that can begin to pay for schooling, education. As it begins to pay for education, it will be by default, it will be more efficient. Why? It's paying for it. As it begins to pay for it, we make sure two things happen. No strings attached. It's not government. No strings attached. It is to give a flat fee to every single district per student. So the money by default follows the kid. Number one, we don't have that now. That's important for it to do. The money follows the kid. Second piece, once that happens, we do not require federal funds or state funds, which means no federal strings, no state strings. Local people actually control their own school district. Right now, they don't. So now we have problems with, the teacher is a bad teacher and they got to sit in the thing and get paid for. Oh, now it's local. You do what you want now. Well, you can't because this doesn't matter. Well, the teachers unions, who cares? They have no power anymore. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's relevant.
I can see a few unions being upset about
they're not going to vote for me anyway. If I win without them. So it's not like the unions are going to be like, we love Larry Sharpe. So if I win, I win without them.
Yeah, they only support Democrats. We've all
correct. So that's irrelevant. So it's relevant. But I got to go to the next part. Teachers actually love this. It's administrators who don't. Teachers actually support me because the problem's not in the teachers. The problem's with the administrators.
True.
When we start getting rid of all these administrators, teachers go, oh my God, I'm free. The average teacher in New York State makes about 70, 80K a year. The average administrator makes 2 or 3 times that. There are administrators in New York State right now who make $400,000 a year. And they don't even see any kids. They don't even see any kids. These are all people who are bureaucrats to keep the state and the federal government happy. They will begin to go away. We'll have principals and vice principals like we used to have when you and I were growing up. And somehow you and I learned how to read and write. Somehow we learned how to survive. Somehow we did, right?
We made
somehow. We did. We made the internet, right? We somehow did this, right? With just principals and vice principals in schools. That will begin to happen. And that part's great, but I have to go one step further. Not only will that make education better, but for those of you in New York, if you own a home, about half of your property tax is school tax, depending upon where you are in a state, but it's around half. Some places it's higher than half, some places less, but it's in that area around half, which means overall, once they're paying for school, no need for school tax. That means your property tax is cut in half. A lot of people can stay in their home now. A lot of people can afford to stay here in New York State once that happens. So we do that, things begin to change. And again, I did it without raising taxes, better schooling. Now, over time, that will raise. Let me give you an example of that. Right now, if you look at places like Norway and Singapore, the amount of money they have in their sovereign fund is insane. They have almost $1 trillion in their sovereign fund. There's only 5 million people in Norway.
True.
There's only 5 million people in Singapore. And they got $1 trillion. If I got $1 trillion, 5 million people, you get healthcare. You get healthcare. Everybody gets healthcare. I got $1 trillion and 5 million people. Who cares, right? Now, I'm not saying we should do that. But what I'm saying is, once we can deal with that with education over time, why can't we maybe take some of the burden off of the counties for Medicare and Medicaid? If we start taking some of the burden off, they can start rethinking healthcare. And that's what I want. Right now, the reason why people aren't rethinking healthcare is because they're afraid of no safety net. They are worried. Fear is what's stopping us. It is. Fear is stopping us. Oh my God. You see it now, Mike. Everyone's scared. Oh my God. Obamacare is not going to be there. The world's going to end. Obamacare made things worse.
Yeah,
I know.
Make things worse.
It made things worse. That's why the government has to write us big checks, because the government made things worse. Now, but that's the problem. The fear is still there. But if I can tell you, don't worry. If things go bad, the sovereign fund can take care of it. The fear goes away. And now we go, all right, let's rethink healthcare, because we have this safety net here. And that's the point. That can help tremendously.
Okay. So part of the answer is creating the sovereign fund.
Yep.
Taking out the federal government, taking out the state government, getting rid of the regulations. And in the case of education, I do know this stat very much off the top of my head. Since 1980, we've seen the biggest growth in cost for education has been middle management. It's been administrators. They've actually tripled the cost of how many administrators we have, and therefore the cost has gone up as well. And that's just people moving paperwork around. So that does address one of the biggest concerns. It's all the paperwork, which is taking up all the money, because we haven't increased any money on books and supplies. We haven't increased the money for teachers. It's just administrators. So,
well, I'll add a piece to that, Mike. You're exactly right. And the problem is, a lot of people don't even know what is the right thing to do because they're controlled by federal guidelines. Imagine if now all of a sudden there's your money, there's no grants, there it is. And now locally you can decide, should we hire more teachers, or should we give teachers raises, or should we buy more computers? I don't know what the answer is. Hopefully, locally, they'll start doing that. Some school districts will hire more teachers. Some will give raises. Some will get more, whatever. And now we can see, oh, that didn't work. Oh, that works better. Oh, they're doing better, or they're happier. And how we know? Remember, I'm districting, but I'm not telling you where the kids have to go. So if parents decide to put their kids in different districts, they may. And we'll see which districts work. Not just that. With my plan, it's $18,000 per year with a $6,000 credit if people want to homeschool or private school. Now, why only that amount? Because I still want the kids to be able to use the public facilities. So you homeschool your kid, you can still be in a football team. You private school your kid, you can still be in a math club. I want communities to stay together, even if the kids are educated differently. Now, how we know what's working and what's not? If half of your kids are homeschooled or private schooled, your public school is not working.
That's true.
It's not working.
Well,
it isn't. Yes, but what will happen is they'll have to respond in some way. Mm-hmm. So as they respond, because there'll be less kids in the district, what'll start happening, right? There'll be problems. People look and go, why is only 10% of the population in the public school district? Wow, these guys suck. No one will do what they do. They'll have to change, is my point, right? That will have to begin to shift. And the market and the people in the communities will go, yeah, this is the way we want things to be done. We want it this way. We want it that way. And they will by default get better.
See, I like, you know what I always loved? And since the first time that we met, which was supposed to be a 15-minute interview, wound up being 2.5 hours. And I grilled you. That was me being mean. But we got a lot answered. But what I've always noticed is you always have a solution to the issue. Not just a promise, not just an idea, but an actual solution. Whether I agree with every one of them or not is immaterial to the fact that you have thought it out, you have a solution, you have a target, and we can work towards that. And sadly, I have to say, I know for a fact Democrats don't. They say throw more money at it.
No, they go orange man bad.
Well, that too. That's the new thing is orange man bad. Then they say throw money at it.
Their money, yes.
And Republicans, and I'm a Republican, one of our biggest problems is in New York State, we keep saying, yeah, but they're bad guys. We don't have a solution. And that's upsetting. But that
but here's the weird part about Republicans here. And I'm going to give Republicans a bit of credit here. When it comes to the country, Republicans actually have answers.
Yes.
But when it comes to New York State, they've given up.
Yes.
Sadly. So that's why you hear me. I don't say the GOP has no answers. I say the New York State GOP has no answers because it is different. New York State GOP has given up. You see it with Curtis Sliwa. You and I discussed this before. They gave up on Sliwa way before he even started. This is an issue. This is an issue of New York State GOP thinking they cannot win, knowing they cannot win, and self-sabotaging to ensure they don't. This is a New York GOP issue. This is not a GOP nationwide issue.
No, I agree with you. And it's sad. And I'm willing to give critique where it deserves to be, because just because I'm a Republican doesn't mean they get a pass on that. So I'm calling them out for what they did wrong. And you're right. They should have stood behind Sliwa, but also that indicates they should be standing behind Republican candidates across the state and providing.
And they don't.
And they're not. So, and I want a solution. New York needs solutions, not promises, not being willing to take second best, but we need solutions. But in listening to the Sovereign Fund, looking at the ways it can be applied to a couple of major issues that everyone in America, everyone in New York is looking at, healthcare, education, these are big issues that we don't really have a solution for. And sitting back and saying, well, it's their fault, doesn't answer it. But it also doesn't do something that we hear a lot in New York. And we've seen this with Mandami in particular. I like to say it's free stuff, but it's a little bit of free stuff, and I'm giving you something. The government is going to give you something, and you don't have to do anything. You're just going to get stuff. Now,
you deserve it.
Huh? Yeah, you're entitled to it. You deserve
it.
And then on the back end, well, now we didn't mention it up front, but on the back end, we're just going to be taking a lot of your freedoms. We're going to raise the cost of everything.
No, we're going to magically tax the rich, Mike, and they're just going to pay. God, don't you listen?
Yeah, they're rich. They're going to move. They're going to move because they already are. 200 to 300,000 New Yorkers every year for the last decade have been leaving, taking about $20 billion with them. Businesses, property, wealth, family, they're gone. Right. So considering that we're looking at this new wave under the Mandami Democratic Socialists of America movement, and they're trying to make it a movement, that they're saying, well, we're going to just give you free stuff. And policies that have proven to fail everywhere else in the country. But that's a pattern. People get used to that idea.
Yes.
How do you think they're going to take your idea? And let's just look at the Sovereign Fund. How are they going to deal with that? How do you address that?
My hope is that they will actually just want to put me on a stage and debate me. Now, will the leaders want that? No, but I hope the people will. The advantage that you have talking about a sovereign fund, even if you hate it, and some people don't like it, at least now they have to talk about it. And that's the key, because now I can ask the question, what's your answer? Why is Mamdani doing so well in New York City? Well, because they're all lefties. That isn't the reason why. He's doing well because he actually has answers and Cuomo has none. That's why, right? Cuomo has no answer. In theory, Cuomo should be winning, right? He's a former governor. He's got all the blah, blah, blah. He should be, right? He's clearly not, but he should be. Why not? Because he has no answers. And that's the issue. He does not have answers. And Mamdani does. So, and what happens? Now they've talked about answers. If they don't, people get upset. My hope is they'll talk about my answers. Now, sometimes they get mad at me, which is good. Because they go, that can't work because, or worse, that doesn't work because capitalism. That's a big issue, right? Because capitalism. Capitalism by default in many Americans' eyes, sadly, as you know, you've seen the polls. There's a lot of Americans now who think capitalism is just bad because capitalism. That's a reason for it to be bad. Because capitalism
makes no
sense. Yes. But again, we have done, as Americans in general, we have done a very poor job giving them an answer other than capitalism bad. Oh, the system doesn't work, right? They know the system doesn't work. That they're sure of. But they don't know what the answer is to repair that system. So when enough people on the left go, see, it's because capitalism, it's normal. That's how it works, blah, blah, blah. If they just keep saying that, people honestly go, I guess that makes sense. You've heard me say 1,000 times. When people have a bad answer or no answer, they take the bad answer. So my thought process is they'll hate my answer. Good. Then show me yours. Let's have this conversation. What will they do as a general rule? The left will dismiss me. Just dismiss me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, it's capitalism. He's bad. He's not the right kind of brown person or whatever they say there, right? You know what I'm talking about. They'll do that, right? Yeah. Whatever it is. They'll call me an hysterophobe or something like that, and then they'll just dismiss me.
Right.
But the people may not, because when they're looking for answers, you see me. I go on left-leaning shows constantly.
Savvy Sounds, one of the examples. Mm-hmm.
I go on there and I talk. I get insulted in the chat. I get brutalized in the chat. But that's fine. I have the conversations, and always some of them go, yeah, he's not bad. Some always do that. I don't know what percentage that is, but I'll take the 5 or 10% I get, because those people, if they actually turn them, boy, do they turn. I'll give you some libertarian inside baseball here. The right comes to us faster, but the right also leaves faster. The left doesn't come to us easy at all. But when the left comes, they stay. Some of our best activists are former lefties or former Democrats, because when that person actually shifts, it is like, oh my God, what was I thinking? And they hate the left. When that person does turn, and one of my best examples is Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is one of the best libertarian thinkers in the country that we have, and he used to be a Marxist.
Yep.
So it's harder to get the left to turn to us. It is. But when we get them, oh my God. So I want both. The right's easier to come, and they make more of our foot soldiers. But when the left comes, oh my God, they're super soldiers. They're all Captain America. So I need a couple Captain Americas too. So yes.
Hey, Thomas Sowell is a great Captain America.
Correct. Yes.
But since we're talking about, these changes, the way that we're looking to change everything, to basically get aspects of both left and right into a solution, and then working the solution. The first part of our problem is identify the problem. We all know what the problems are. Great. Second part is have a solution, work the solution. We get it done. This is coming straight out of the Marine Corps. I mean, this is basic stuff. That's the problem. Let's target the problem. Okay. Immigration is a big problem in America and in New York. We're a sanctuary state. We're a border state, both on the coastline and also with Canada. We have had, over 200,000 in just 1 year. We got over 200,000 legal aliens. Was breaking the infrastructure of the entire state. That's been a big problem. Now, in 2024, the nation uniformly said we want mass deportations, as promised by Donald Trump. And whether people love him or hate him, whether they like the way he's doing it or not, he is living up to the promise, mass deportations, to an extent. Could do maybe more. Maybe he could target other people. That's process. But he's living up to the promise. But that means we're now seeing pushback from the left, bluer than blue cities, and states, California, Illinois, Washington State. They're all pushing back, and we're seeing the conflict. How would you, as governor, deal with Donald Trump, the issue of illegal immigration and ICE? How would you deal with that? As opposed to what we're hearing from Kathy Hochul right now, what we're hearing from Gavin Newsom and some of the other Democrat leaders, which is go out, have a riot, maybe get in a fight with ICE, and nothing happens. Nothing productive gets done. What would you do?
Yeah, the issue is, I think in this case, Curtis Sliwa is correct. Curtis Sliwa said, you don't want to fight Donald Trump. You want to negotiate with him. I agree. I think that's the right answer. The idea is to negotiate with him. I have to understand that New Yorkers in general, particularly New York City people, they don't want ICE. They don't want to fight the immigrants the way the ICE is fighting. They want to magically make them happy somehow. What New York City wants is magic, which doesn't exist, right? So I'm just being forward. You know this. They want something that doesn't exist. They want magic. Okay. Now, I brought this up before, and I got to keep bringing it up. Sometimes people on the left don't understand Donald Trump, and people on the right get mad at him because he isn't conservative enough. And he'll break the conservative rules often. True. New York, look, he is what his personality is. And if you're a Trump supporter or not, you should understand this. He is a New York City real estate developer. True. That's his actual personality. That's how he thinks. That's what makes him so tenacious, because that's how you get shit built in this city. You just keep pushing. You sue. You go to court. You push until people surrender, and you scoot around any little law you can get around, and you get your boys. That's how you get stuff built. He's been doing it for decades. That's how he thinks. Not just that. He wants a deal done. I want that building up by the 13th. What do I got to do? Let's get this done. Who do I got to bully? Who do I got to yell at? Whose butt do I got to kiss? Whose palm do I got to grease? Right? He knows I want a deal done. And his core, he's a deal maker. So treat him as such and give him a deal. How do I deal with that? Here's what I do. As I told you before, I'm not against immigration. I'm against immigration with no plan. I'm not against ICE getting bad guys at all, but I want to give the good guys a shot. And that's not easy to do. What I'm planning is not easy, but this is what we need to do. We need to create, literally, I think in the Bronx, but closer in Brooklyn, privatized Ellis Islands. What does that mean? Literally get areas that either owned by the state or owned by the federal government, lease that land out to recruiting companies, get something built, similar to the idea of medical tourism in East Asia. Massively high hotels that could take hundreds, if not up to 1,000 people in it or more. You people who want to be legal, go there. You get vetted, you get checked medically, you get make sure you're not part of a cartel or the case may be. If you are part of that stuff, here come ICE. If you're not part of that stuff, you get an orange card. An orange card is very special. It is a 2-year work visa that allows several things. Number one, you may go to any state that opts in. If states don't want to opt in, they don't have to take you. If states want to opt in, they can do it. You get to legally work in New York State. You can actually go back home and come back. I want that because a lot of people move here because they can't go across the border. Work here. Go back home to your family. Work here for 6 months in the factory, whatever. Work here for 6 months on the farm. Go back home to your family. You don't got to stay here if you don't want to. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm not mad at you. You get to come back and forth. Here are the rules. 1, you may not take any from a public assistance. 2, you must check in every 2 years. If you don't check in every 2 years, or we found out you have public assistance, you are now a criminal. Out you go. Here come ICE. You do that, it's fine. Go work. Go. You do that, families won't come. Some families who actually want to become Americans will come. Many won't. How do we know that? That's what happened before we did this. Back in the 50s and 60s, workers came across the border, worked, went back home.
Yeah, for a long time.
Let's allow them to do that if they want to. If you want to be here, great, you can stay here, but you got to pay taxes. You can't take public assistance. You got to check in every 2 years. Now, what will that do? Well, now that allows, 1, there'll be a holding cell for the people we catch, right? Number 1. So ICE doesn't have to go anyplace. They're right there. We got them for you. There they are, right? No worries. That's number 1. But number 2, what will happen is people will start going there. And the people who don't go there are the bad guys. It makes it easier for ICE and law enforcement to do their job. I don't think ICE is required. I think NYPD could do it if we had this system. I would rather NYPD do it. That's my choice. Now, if they need help, no wonder, no issues. You say, NYPD, your job is to get these undocumented workers. We're giving them an option to document. They don't want to document, then that's on them. That's on them. NYPD, go get them. If you feel you need help, call ICE in. This should be coordinated. ICE should come in when NYPD wants them. I don't like ICE coming without NYPD agreeing. NYPD says, you know what? We need some extra assistance. Come on in. I don't mind the federal government coming in. If NYPD wants the assistance, what we're doing right now is we're saying NYPD cannot do anything. Therefore, ICE is required. I'm saying the opposite. Once we give people the option of being legal, once we give them a choice to do so if they want to, now NYPD, go. Now NYPD runs this. And what will probably happen is at one point, like, we're overwhelmed. We can't do all this stuff. Then they will call in ICE. And now it's coordinated. The problem is ICE people don't know how to handle this shit. They don't know where to go and how. NYPD does. NYPD also has people on the streets who know where the bad guys and the good guys are. If NYPD coordinates with ICE, now we got a shot here.
It's funny that you say that. And I know people look at it and go, well, that sounds nice, but I don't know. Because most people are used to what we're seeing in Seattle and Portland, Chicago, LA, where they're fighting, where we're seeing the mayors, the governor saying, stand down, don't help ICE.
Yes.
Which I think is a crime. And that antagonism has been creating more friction.
I don't want antagonism.
Here's the thing that most people don't realize. What you just described is actually happening in Memphis. The governor, the mayor of Memphis is working with ICE, and they're actually getting a lot of the illegal aliens that are guilty or criminal. Let me say violently criminal. They're getting them out, and crime is going down visibly. It's about 2.5, 3 weeks they've been doing this now. And the police have been working with ICE. There are no riots there.
Yes.
There are no, the governor's the governor's upset. The Democrats are upset, but the city's doing fine. So what you're saying isn't some imaginary idea.
Not at all.
It actually is happening real world.
Yes. I'm not, again, what I think we did poorly is we didn't give people the opportunity to be legal. And we need to make that happen. Now, you might go, but Larry, the federal government, and it's not fair because people are jumping the line. No, they're not. Why? This is private. This is basically, these are recruiting companies. Recruiting companies vet people across the world every day and move millions of people across the globe in private companies all day long. And where's all the criminals? Where's all the murderers? It doesn't exist. They know how to vet people. They press you do it. Well, who's going to pay for it? They will. They're paying Pablo right now as a coyote. Don't pay Pablo. Pay the recruiting company instead. You're paying the bad guys. Pay the recruiting company. Half these guys are working on the black market anyway. Take your black market money and put it into the real market and pay the recruiting company and get out of the black market. You get out of the black market, you lower crime by default. Not just that. The people who become legal, there's people who become legal who who hate the cartels.
Oh, yeah.
Hate them.
Lots of
them. They would happily, if they're legal and they now aren't going to jail and not getting deported and then go back home to their family what they want to and come back here and work, they would work directly with NYPD. Yep, bad Pablo right there. There he is. That's the guy. Get him. They would easily work. They would do it for vengeance.
Okay.
For how the cartels have treated some of these people in these villages. So all of a sudden now NYPD gets help. Well, NYPD might say, we don't need you, ICE. Thanks. We got it. Or they might go, you know what? No, we do need help. But now we know how to coordinate so you don't get all this bad press because we actually know where bad Pablo is. You don't have to go to the Home Depot. He's right there. Go get him. Could change everything. Just you said it's happening in Memphis, right?
Yeah.
We're not having the problems in Memphis because the local police force, they know what's up. ICE guys don't know what's up. They're not from here. They have no idea.
No, it makes sense. Like I said, it's real world. It's happening. But that kind of brings me to a slightly different idea, a different question, which is especially because of the government shutdown right now.
Yep.
It's making people realize that, and we saw this before earlier this year with Donald Trump when he shut down all government funding to states for about 6 hours. And
I remember that.
Hours,
yes, the world was ending.
Yeah, we had New York, California, we had Michigan, all the blue states suddenly got on a live stream, all their attorney generals saying we can't run the state without federal funding. But in the shutdown right now, we're now coming to the point where we're going to see food stamps or SNAP, whatever you want to call it. EBT is going to be shut down.
Yep.
And so I think the bigger problem with that, it's being framed as, well, it's a Republican thing or a Democrat thing. Let's step away from that for a moment because it is a Democrat thing, but let's step away from that. I think the bigger problem there is those are all, everyone who's saying they can't survive, that they may or may not want to riot, you're a slave. You're dependent on the government. The government gave you something, and when the government takes it away, you've got nothing. And I think most people don't think of it that way, but that's what it is. That's the reality of it. Could you see a way that isn't the communist socialist idea of government-run stores, which we have seen fail?
Yep.
We saw it fail in Russia. I was in Moscow. I know for a fact it failed there. And in Kansas City, it failed there. It's failed everywhere it's been done in this country and around the world. So not going to the extent of government grocery stores, but also not going to, I'm dependent on the government to feed my family, feed myself. Is there a middle ground? And do you have an idea for that?
Yeah. What we want to do in our perfect world, we're not there yet. What we want to do is we want to have it to where community steps in. Here's the reason why. And you see it in certain community groups. When communities help you, right? If you're in trouble, you can't pay your rent, or you fell down and you got to feed your kids or whatever. If the government starts giving you a check, it's invisible. It's the government. I deserve it. I'm entitled to it. Whatever. I applied for the program, whatever the case may be. But imagine if it wasn't that. Imagine if instead it was part of your community group. It was some nonprofit, your church group, your local civic association, your Knights of Columbus, whatever, right? Something like that. Elks Club. And they said, no, we got you. We're going to take care of you. We're going to pay your rent for this month or next month, whatever the case may be. At that point, it becomes personal. Now it's, Mike, when I was in trouble, you helped me. You took me to the Elks Club, talked to the elders, and the Elks Club wrote me a check to pay my rent last month. You know what? My community was there for me. I want to pay that forward. Not just that. I don't want to keep asking every month for that same check. I don't want to do that. I want to step up. I want to try to fix things. They're going to help me. Not just that. When that happens, the guys at the Elks Club are going to go, okay, is Larry really a worker? Did he just fall down? Is he a deadbeat? Does he have an addiction problem? Right? What's happening? What's going on in his life? Who is this guy? And if they think Larry's a good guy, they might offer me a job. Try to get me back in going up. They might help me in some other way, right? If I'm an addict, they might give me some addiction help. If I got a mental problem, they might put me into whatever. They might help me out because the goal is to get me better so I can join the Elks Club or join the Knights of Columbus or this church or whatever, and I can start paying it forward. So now some other guy's in trouble, and you guys help me out, and when that guy's in trouble, I'm going to be the one grabbing him, Mike, not you. You did it for me. I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to bring him and say, hey, come on, I can help you out. That's how I want it to work. We don't have that now. We have go to government program. And whenever you add government, you by default lose community. How do we do that? Here's an actual program for that. Say you owe the state money at the end of the year. Fines, fees, taxes, whatever. You owe the government money. Speeding tickets. You got hammered for as a restaurant owner, you got a fine from the government for restaurant, whatever. You owe the government money. You can take $250 of that, and instead of sending it to the government, give it to any non-government funded nonprofit in the state. If it's in your county, that's double to $500. So to keep it local, if you can, you might go $500, Larry. Is that a lot? What happens when 1,000 people do it? 10,000 people do it, right? So now we decide that in my county, we have a problem. What's the problem? Our help for addicts is terrible. It's broken. Doesn't work. Oasis, which is the New York State group, is a goddamn joke, right? So it doesn't work at all in New York State. So and we decide we're going to do that locally. Great. So Mike, you say you got the plan. You're going to do it. Hey guys, give me your $500 and I'll go do it. And we do. 1,000 people give you $500. You got $500,000. You open it up. Let's say you suck at it. You're terrible at it. No success, disaster. What happens the next year? We don't give you the money. You go under because you sucked at it. You said you're going to be good and you weren't good at it. What happens if the government says, we got it. We'll raise taxes and make a program. They raise taxes, they make a program. The program sucks. What happens?
It stays there forever. It never
more
changes.
Money. No, more money.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. Yeah.
We give them more money. Their reward for failure is more money. Your reward for failure is you're gone. But say the opposite. You're successful. Mike's got the plan. We send people to Mike, and within 6 months, they're back in action. He's got the plan. What do? We give him more money. Mike, please take more people. Expand this thing. You got the plan. Oh, my God. Now, the opposite. You're the government. Government plan, and a government plan works. I mean, I can't imagine. But let's say for the sake of argument, the government plan actually does work. What happens? You don't get cut.
Well, yeah, the government doesn't really do solutions. They do
It doesn't.
eternal problem that you constantly need to
Because
keep
here's what
going back
happens.
to them for. So again, going back to my question, my problem with SNAP benefits. Once you're on, it's almost impossible to get off. And now you're
Correct, because there's a reward system, right? If you look at any non-governmental nonprofit, say there's one that's helping poor single moms as an example, right? If you go to their gala every year, and they always have some kind of gala, whatever that is, you go to some gala, what do they always show you? Success stories. Here's a woman who we got off. She was a single mom of 3, and now she's got her own job and her own apartment. Success stories. If they don't give you success stories, you don't write them checks anymore.
True.
Right? You don't. So I got to see that you said you're helping out single moms. You got to actually help them out, or I don't give you money anymore. Now, the opposite is true when it comes to government. Here's how it works. In our fictitious case of our addiction piece, I'm going to ask you, Mike, because you're now running my new.
I'm getting all kinds of jobs now.
Now you're the Bronx County anti-drug czar, whatever they make you, right? And you pay you $100,000 a year to fail. And they give you $100,000 a year. And I say, how many people are you servicing? You go, well, I started servicing 100 people. Awesome. I'm glad you get that money. How many servicing now? Well, only 10 because 90 worked. You're only servicing 10 people. Oh, we're going to cut your funding. I'm not joking. That's how it actually works. We're going to cut your funding.
Yeah.
Well, but why? I'm successful. Well, you're only servicing 10 people now. But I want to give you some marketing so I get another 100. But you're only servicing 10 people. So you get your funding cut. That's how the government works. So it's in your best interest.
They're not looking at the outcome. They're looking at the process.
Yes. The government doesn't care about the outcome.
It's the do something.
Yes.
Yeah. We're doing something. We have 1,000 people. Yeah, but how many are succeeding and don't have to be here anymore? Who cares? We're doing something.
Yes.
So give us more money. Yeah.
If we fix the problem, we're no longer doing something. So we can't fix the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. That one gets me. And I get your point. And I see where you're going. Let me go somewhere. Let me ask a question, because I know we don't have a lot of time. Because I know you just got a crazy schedule. But I want to get your vision on something, because I don't know if it makes sense. But I want to hear your vision on this. Clarify it for me. Because one of the things that bugs me is bail reform. And I know a lot of conservatives are never liked it to start with, including me. I was against it from day one. But there's a lot of people who said, no, this could be a good thing. And I know you were one of them. Now, we saw what the government did, which is a failure. It's a revolving door. It doesn't work.
Always.
But I know you and I, we've gone back and forth on this, on what happened and what could have happened. Now, I was looking at what the government has consistently done, what Democrats in the government have consistently done, which is stupid. And now we have the proof that what they did, which they've always done, is stupid, didn't work.
True.
Confirmed criminals are going back out and doing more confirmed crimes.
Yep. True.
You have an idea to reform the bail reform.
Yep.
Give me that vision.
All right. If I could show you my vision, it is a vision of fairness to both the offender and the public. That's what the vision is. Fairness to both the offender, or accused, I should say, and the public. The concept of bail reform, conceptually, is a good idea. I don't want poor people suffering more than wealthy people, right? When it comes to being arrested and being accused. I agree with that conceptually. To your point, the way we put this together was a disaster. It was an embarrassment. Now, can I just all of a sudden go back and change it? I probably can't. Not immediately, but I can reform it. And here's the way you reform it. You say all the rules that we talked about, all of them work only for first-time offenders. Why do I say that? What you said earlier is absolutely true. You said we see them, confirmed criminals with confirmed more crimes. True. The average person in New York City who commits a crime like that now has been arrested, this is according to Mayor Adams, 16 times.
Yeah.
That's the average, 16 times. Every single story we heard about horrible crimes being done, every one of them, 100% were multiple offenders.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them. There's no exception to that rule. 100% were multiple offenders. So if you just say, if you're a first-time offender, you get a break. You're accused for the first time. Here is your time, young man. You got arrested. We're letting you go back home. We're letting you go back to your job. Are you going to be smart and realize you screwed up? Stop hanging around the wrong people. Stop hanging around the wrong substances. Stop screwing around, or not. You got a shot. Just because you're poor, just because you're working, doesn't mean you get hammered. Now, are some people going to come back? Yes, of course. 15, 16 times being arrested? Yes, clearly some are going to come back. But there's going to be a chunk of people who go, oh my God, what did I do? I get it. For many people, that arrest is the bottom. That's their rock bottom. And they can now come back. For many people, it is. And that's why I say, if we get it to first offenders, the multiple offenders still go to jail. We still protect people from the multiple offenders. So that keeps those people in jail as they should be, protecting the public. And first-time offenders gives them the shot at life to make that step. And we say, this is because you're a first-time offender. You come back again. Doesn't work this way.
Okay.
That's my vision. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, but I want a clarification because there's,
Okay.
I can hear the question from my audience and other Republicans already. What about murder? What about someone who has assault? You're going to give them a shot to go back out? And I
my
know the
answer is very
because
clear.
I know you, but I want you to answer to that.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. They are accused. This is America. You are accused. First time. What's the odds of a first-time person committing murder, their first offense? Not high. If you look at most murderers, most of them have a rap sheet. Most of them it won't be their first offense. It usually isn't their first offense. Assault, usually not their first offense. You see it. This guy's a murderer. Yeah, but he was arrested 6 times for armed robbery. He was arrested before for this. Guys rarely just go up and murder somebody. Does happen. Exceedingly rare. Every time you see a murderer, they almost always have a rap sheet. They wouldn't be counted that they're multiple offenders. So the vast majority of murderers, this wouldn't apply to. So there'd be a minority of murderers that this might apply to. So why would I punish everybody else for this minority of murderers that once in a while pops every once in a while? No. And that guy might not even be the guy. They might have arrested the wrong guy. And even if he is, you are innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. If it's a first-time offender, you've never been convicted. You're not a criminal. You've never been convicted. You're not a criminal.
Again, we're talking about bail. We're talking about bail. We're not talking about crime.
Correct.
After conviction, we're talking about
after conviction doesn't work. This is not if you're convicted, you are by default not a first-time offender. This would not apply to you.
Okay.
This applies to someone who's never been arrested before. And again, the odds of someone committing a murder who's never been arrested before, does it happen? Yes, it is grossly rare.
True. Usually, almost always, they have a rap sheet of some sort long beforehand. And most of the time, like the guy in North Carolina stabbed the girl in the neck. He had 14 other arrests.
Yes.
There was a pattern there. We knew.
Correct.
Long before he got to that moment. Even with the illegal aliens, they don't really apply in this, but even in those cases, we knew they were violent before they committed the crime, the final crime. We knew.
Well, if you wanted to go with migrants who are documented versus undocumented, if we have this system I'm talking about, which says you can go to one of these places and get documented, if they had done the legal thing and got documented, the bail reform would affect them if it was their first time arrest. If they did not get documented, then they're kind of already a criminal and it doesn't work, right? So it wouldn't apply to them. But if you did the right thing and you got documented and you'd never been arrested before, it would apply to you.
Well, that's consistency in your plans. I like that. Because, again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. It shows that your plans are integrated.
Yes.
There's no loophole in one change versus another change, which is, I think, very important.
You've been around me when I've thought these things through.
I've argued with you as you
Yes.
thought them out.
And if something pops up to where I find out there's a better way, it's fine. Yes. But right now, when I've been talking about fixing it, there's no answer to fix immigration.
Not the
It's
moment.
just, no, there's no answer. Well, I have an answer. If you go, there's in business, you know, my day job, I'm a business trainer. It's what I do. One of the things I say all the time is when you're in business and you can't find an answer, put the wrong answer on the table on purpose. Put the wrong answer on the table. Put it on. Okay, well, we're going to do this. People go, you can't do that. Okay, why? Well, because this, that. Okay, well, how would you fix that? And you start to get a right answer by putting the wrong answer on the table. And now people can start picking it apart. That ain't going to work because this, that. And look, maybe there's some type of crime that I've missed. Okay, let's talk about it. Is there an exception we have to put into it? Okay, fine. Maybe I've missed something. I can't remember. I can't think of every crime. Okay, maybe there's an exception. Let's have that conversation.
Well, I got to give it to you. And now this is somewhat more my personal observation based over nearly a decade now, in many situations. You do hear people. We've had these debates and many, many others over the years. And I've also observed you with other people and having debates with them on various issues, taking in their information, testing out, well, does it work in this scenario? Does it work in that scenario? How can I make it work in that scenario? So unlike, and we both know many, many politicians of every political party, every faction out there.
And you and I know a lot of the same politicians.
That's true. A lot of the same ones. And unlike me, who's more of a bull in the china shop, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. You're more like, let me hear you out. And I got to give you credit for that you do hear people, you do look for a solution. You're far more amenable to say, let me work with you to get to this. Because we all, almost all of the people we know, including ourselves, we all want pretty much the same thing.
Yes.
The process of getting there, that's where everybody gets into the whole big hassle. It's like, how are we getting there? And we all have the big problems. And you've been very amenable for many people to work with them on, okay, here's a great way to get there. Heard what you said. How about we do this? So I like that. Now, we've mostly covered everything that I wanted to cover today. By no means have we covered the blanket. And I know you have an 8-hour video talking about all the policies. I know you have it listed. You have all your policies listed on LarrySharpe.com. And people can go and look for their specific issue and see what your response is to that. And I know that that's an ongoing process. So I do recommend to people, like always on this channel, don't take our word for it. Read up, look for yourself, make your own decision, always. And that's why in doing my homework on you years ago, I support you. Everyone else can make their own determination, but I do support. And I am looking.
Do what Mike says. Support me. Do what Mike says.
But I've tried to be, and I think I have been balanced in interviewing you, even though you're my friend, even though I support you, to present you with some challenge and to go through real examples and issues to get your vision, to get to understand what you're thinking and what your solutions are, not promises, because you haven't promised me anything. You're saying, here's the solution, not a promise, but a solution. And I like that.
But so let me give a little bit, if I could, with that, right?
Yeah.
I recognize that my solutions are not perfect. I recognize that. I'm hoping that people will not measure my solutions to perfection because I'll always lose. But so will every plan.
Sure.
I hope you will measure my solutions against status quo because that's where we are right now. In New York State, unless something changes, Kathy Hochul wins again. We retain this state of decay that we've had for 20 some odd years, maybe more. The state just keeps decaying and keeps failing. That's the status quo. Now, I did meet somebody. I'll tell you this, Mike, when it happened. I met someone once at an event at a fair that when I said I'm running for governor, she said, "Oh no, I love Kathy Hochul." If I didn't know there were any people, but they exist. See, they exist. You didn't know that, Mike. They exist.
I've never run into that before, but okay.
I meet a lot of people, so I was destined to meet one. So that person, I can't get. I'm never going to get. They love Kathy Hochul. I understand. If you're that person, I don't know why you're watching this show, but if you are,
That's
probably
right.
hate watching it. If you are, that's
Yeah.
fine. Then good luck. Please enjoy Kathy Hochul. You like the state. Good for you. But if you're saying no, this is not a good answer, then please measure my policies against status quo. If they're better, if you see them moving forward, then consider supporting me at LarrySharpe.com.
See, you kind of took away what I was going to ask you, because I always like to, and I do this at every interview I have. I always like to give the opportunity, two things. One, to mention your website and how people can support you in terms of volunteering or money and all that. I want you to talk a little bit about that. But then the final question is always, is there something that we didn't touch on that you believe is important for people to know at this point going forward? So I'll let you get to answer those two things.
Yeah, I need volunteers desperately. I need people to help me on social media, people to be at events. If you live in New York State, particularly if you happen to live in New York State, I need you to come to my events. I need you to show up, tell people, do sign waves. I need you to buy t-shirts. I'm sorry, donate and get a t-shirt as a gift. Right. I need you to do that. I need you to get a lawn sign. I need you to do all the things in New York State possible. And if you donate in New York State, there's matching funds. For those who don't know what that means, for every dollar you give me in New York State, if you are a New York State resident, New York State will give me $6. So if you give me $10, they'll give me 60. You give me $100, they'll give me 600. You give me $200, they'll give me $1,200. Now there's a limit. It can't be less than $5 and it can't be more than $250. They will not match more than $250. So please, if you live in New York State and you want to donate between $2 and $250 and do that, they will match by 6. If I raise $500,000 from New Yorkers, New York State will match that 6-1. They will give me $3 million. $3 million makes this a winnable race. This becomes a winnable race with $3 million. Wait a minute, Larry, you can become governor? Yes. With $3 million? Yes, that's absolutely true. And that's the only promise I'll give you. If we raise $500,000 and I get $3 million, this now is a winnable race.
That's true.
Absolutely a winnable race. Now that's what I'm looking for. So that's what I want to happen. If you can do that, that'd be awesome. If you're not in New York State, please still donate. And I still need social media warriors outside of New York State. So come on board. We do meetings every Wednesday night. We give people what we're trying to achieve so the volunteers can move forward. That's how you can help me out. Look, the biggest deal is if you want status quo, you probably shouldn't support me. If you notice status quo is not working and you want to change something, I'm your guy.
Okay. Folks, you can check out Larry Sharpe to be able to get to Larry Sharpe Volunteers. I believe you call them the SEAL Team 6.
Team Sharpe.
SEAL Team Sharpe. That's right. I'm actually thinking SEAL Team, but it's SEAL Team Sharpe.
Yep.
Which I love. I like that. That's kind of a throwback to our military days.
Yep.
And of course, they can also, once they go to the LarrySharpe.com, they can look at being able to donate towards your campaign. I know you're still on YouTube. You're still on Rumble and X, all the media. You're still doing
Facebook.
Your Facebook. You're doing your commentary and you're doing your campaign. Like this weekend, what are you doing this weekend? You're going
this weekend. Right? The Saturday, November 1st, we are doing a Larry-thon, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. A bunch of guests are going to be showing up, talking about what's going on, how we can make things better, raising money, having a good time. If you can stop by for a couple of minutes, please stop by. It'll be on YouTube, Larry Sharpe YouTube, Larry Sharpe Facebook, Larry Sharpe X. If you want to come on Larry Sharpe Instagram, pop on any of those. If you want to see, it'll be a great time. If you want to donate, awesome. But either way, come in and hang out and talk to some people. It's live, so your comments will come in. You'll enjoy it. Check out what's going on my actual Larry Sharpe YouTube. You'll see it there.
All right. Well, I know we went over just a little bit. This is the closest to actual time that we've ever done in an interview.
True.
We've never made it on time. But so with that, I know that you have to go. And I'm getting a message too. So I'm going to let you go. We'll look forward to doing more of these as we go forward. But I know you're going to tell me afterwards anyway, but I'll ask in front of everyone. You're my friend, of course, but I think that was a very fair. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't preferential. It wasn't preferential. I think
You
it
were
was
nice
a
to me. You
good
were nice
interview.
to me.
A little bit.
You were nice to me. It was nice.
Yeah.
You were nice. It's fine. It's fine. The
But
next time, yell at me.
everyone thinks I'm evil when I do interviews. I'm not.
You'll yell at me next time. It's fine.
All right, folks, I thank you all for being here with us today. Do check out Larry Sharpe. Do know that he does have my support behind him as well. I think you should learn more about him for yourself. And we're going to see it. 2026. It's going to be rocking and rolling. It's going to be quite a year. Folks, I'll talk to you again very, very soon.